Okay, everybody. So the countdown is done. We're on. I'm telling you what we're going to do here. Let's go ahead and introduce Chris Flegel and Aaron Fagan. And Chris, you want to just give a couple of, a few seconds about who you're from, who you're with, and what your interest is in this. And then we'll let Aaron go ahead and bring it up. And then we'll have a couple formal slide things too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Chris Flegel from Reliance Controls, and we manufacture transfer switches for connecting portable generators to home or cabin, anywhere you're looking to provide alternate energy to a building. We manufacture those products that you need to accomplish that. So excited to be talking to you all tonight, and hopefully we can come up with some good solutions for how not to panic during a power outage.
And very good, Aaron. You want to say a few words about what you do and who you're with?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Aaron Fagan. I am the HVAC and solar advisor for SoftStart USA, and a lot of you may know SoftStart for the SoftStart RV, and now they're making what's called the SoftStart Home. And so I am working with them to bring the SoftStart Home as part of the solution for affordable backup power. The SoftStart Home actually goes on the HVAC system, and in conjunction with a generator and a transfer switch, which Chris's company would provide, we're able to power up a lot of the different devices in the home as well as the HVAC system. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, this is really, really cool stuff. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is jump into our PowerPoint, and you go through, and this will probably take 10 minutes or so, or to go through the bits and pieces, but 10 to 15 minutes. Chris and Aaron, you jump in wherever you think it makes sense. And then we will then start taking questions. So you guys will have a good half an hour plus to be able to ask any questions you want from these guys. So this is really fantastic. You don't have to sit there and wait on hold for tech support. We've got the guys like right here to go do this. So let me jump into my PowerPoint. And of course, we name this "Don't Panic When the Power Goes Out." So what we did was we kind of, the principals from over at Soft Start RV had asked this. Doug had asked this months ago about what can we do to provide educational service for people that are in trouble, from various blackouts, power outages, hurricanes, and all of that. And so he started pulling the people together. I started pulling some people together. And so we came up with this idea of this Emergency Backup Power Coalition. Now, this is just a loose group of manufacturers that are coming together to try to provide, better solutions for people that need backup power. So let's talk a little bit about this. Okay, so EBPC stands for Emergency Backup Power Coalition. There we go. Group of manufacturers, trade organizations working together to develop safe and affordable backup power solutions for homeowners. We will be adding on as we do this, as we do each of these things. We'll be adding more and more people on, more and more companies that want to basically help out with this. Now, why we think this is necessary? Whoops. Too many buttons. Okay, let's meet. Okay, there we go. Let's meet the group. Today's panel includes members from several different industries. I basically am the system integrator. That is, I'm the guy that tries to figure out how to make all of this stuff work, and do a bunch of testing of it in my own little FunkWorks lab here in lovely Funkstown, Maryland, on Funkstown Hill. Seriously, there is a Funkstown. Everything that we recommend, we've tested together for proper operation and safety. We've had engineers from the various manufacturers here also back up what I'm doing, so we know that what's going on. So here we go. Here's Chris Flegel from Reliance Controls. Hey, Chris, you can say hi.
Hey, everybody.
There he is. So he's the marketing director of Reliance Controls. They sell dozens of different generator transfer switches across the USA and internationally, I believe, right?
We're expanding. Canada, yes, but not quite over the ponds yet.
Not over the pond yet. Okay, the Canadians are international enough for us right now. So Chris has been a great resource. We've discussed generator transfer switches a few years ago. I think this is a really, really important part of any safe emergency backup power system. And Aaron Fagan, Aaron and I met a couple of months ago face to face. When we went down to Florida, we installed like 5 of these SoftStartHome systems, did we not?
Yeah, we did.
We stuck him there in 2 days. But he's the HVAC solar advisor for SoftStart USA. And SoftStart is part of the SoftStart RV, SoftStart Up. And they manufacture this SoftStart technology for RV, residential, and commercial air conditioning industries. And so Aaron's also, deeply involved in the commercial air conditioners, but we're gathering all kinds of experience now with, home air conditioners. And you guys all know me, Funkworks Lab. We used to jokingly call it the Skunkworks, but the guys from Lockheed Martin heard about that, and they said, no can do. You can't use Skunkworks. So I am the Funkworks, right, Lab? So I've done tons and tons of blogs, videos, articles on RV electrical power, but I really am a big power guy. RV is just one of the very tiny little things that I actually do. So I'm what we would call the tech integrator in the test lab for the Emergency Backup Power Coalition. Plus, I'm the host of these webcasts. So you need backup power. And this is the thing we see. Hardly a day goes by where you don't see something happening on the news. There's been a steep increase in natural disasters in recent years. And many of these have resulted in a loss of the power grid, leaving homeowners without electricity for days or weeks. And my heart goes out to them because they not only need electricity for heating and cooling and refrigeration, they also need it for cell phones and medical devices and everything. Do any of you guys want to jump in and talk about that? I mean, how has your experience been in the past few years of just witnessing this dearth of power outages? I know Chris and Aaron, we both talked about this casually, but what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say, weekly in the news, there's tornadoes, wildfires, hurricanes, ice storms, you name it, there where people are losing power, as well as we know that the power grid is taxed already, and the more and more electrified the country becomes, the more and more the grid gets taxed. So I think it's a perfect time to discuss, backup power for individual homes, not only natural disasters and storms, but also, like I said, there's rolling blackouts. The power companies are being taxed, so therefore sometimes they have to shut off the power. They just don't have enough. So there's different opportunities, and then there's the off-grid, movement and lifestyle too, where they could be using this type of technology.
Yeah, I like to think this is kind of like, if you're an RVer, this is kind of like boondocking in your own home. So, Chris, what have you been witnessing and seeing about this?
Well, very similar to. I'll kind of just echo Aaron's sentiments on that. It seems like they're becoming more and more prevalent and longer lasting. The storms, we've seen them, getting worse and worse over the years, and it's affecting more and more people. So like you guys have said, I think this is a super important conversation to have, and just try to help educate as many people as we can.
Cool. Okay, let's proceed. So solar power for homes. I am getting emails constantly. I see all kinds of local TV ads for solar companies. And they're asking you to invest $30,000 to $50,000 to install solar panels on your house. They generally provide limited power even with that kind of money. some of these residential solar power systems are designed to reduce your electric bill. So what they're doing is they're selling them, in 10 years, they're going to pay themselves off. But they have not included all the pieces of this. So if you have a full power outage, they can't even power your house. They don't have battery backups. They don't have proper transfer switches. It's just kind of silly if you're going to spend that kind of money. But I've had a number of people come crying to me and they said, the power went out and I've got all this sunshine. Why isn't this working? And I keep saying, well, the solar panel integrators, they missed something in this. Also, relying on solar power alone can be a problem during cloudy days. And I think, if I remember correctly, Chris, yeah, you and I talked about a number of people that you had met that had said that they had seen this exact same problem. They spent big bucks. It won't run your house in a blackout.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a sad situation. So when I visit trade shows and try to have as many conversations as I can, just to learn more about the industry and get a handle on how at the challenges that people are facing. And this is one of the things that's come up time and time again. I hear the story of folks investing a significant amount of money in solar panels, and the first time the power fails, they go, okay, I have these, power sources on the roof of my house. How do I feed this into my home? And it wasn't fleshed out when the installation was done. People aren't aware of these things, but most solar installations right now are done via grid tie inverters. So they're feeding power back to the utility company and you get a nice discount on your utility bill each month, but doesn't help during a power outage. So it's very important to kind of call that out like we're doing here and say, hey, this is a great thing to have, but there's more pieces to the puzzle in order to make that work for you in a power outage.
So, Aaron, have you heard any war stories about that yet?
Well, yeah, I think early on, especially in solar, right? The batteries weren't there, and then after the batteries have started to come, yeah, they're expensive, but the the salesman or the installers originally weren't talking about adding that additional $10,000+ cost to it, right? So they're just telling people, hey, get solar, save on your energy and whatever else, and they weren't being clear that this does not power your home. So if the power goes out or you want to use your solar at night without batteries, it doesn't work, right?
Doesn't work.
So definitely an issue.
One of the really crazy things is, I actually do consulting work for like the National Electrical Code Committees on things. For solar panel installations in RVs, there's absolutely no code that describes how it's supposed to be done. So we're working on that for the 2026 edition of the National Electrical Code.
Oh, okay.
So basically anybody can just say, I'm a solar panel installer, and they just do it however they feel like it. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Isn't that the craziest thing? Because they kept asking me, and they said, would you be willing to do a little work on it? And I said, well, isn't there any code? And they said, well, no. And I said, well, I didn't notice any, but yeah, there isn't any. It's the Wild West out there. What do you need to make a backup power safely? You need a generator of some sort. You need a transfer switch, and you need to be able to have low enough wattage appliances so that you don't overload what you have for a generator. Can I plug my RV generator? A lot of you guys have got big RVs with built-in generators into my house panel. And in most cases, onboard RV generator is not suitable for temporary house power, simply because they don't make 240 volts. Now, if you have a small 3,000 watt one, you could probably run an extension cord in and get some stuff running. But what I found that nearly all 5 kilowatt and above RV generators are wired for 120 volts. They are not wired for 120, 240 split phase. So they will never run your well pump. They will never run your air conditioner in your house. won't do this. And I don't know why the RV industry did this. Well, I have a few ideas, but it just seemed silly. Okay, now we're going to talk about what we need on our house to plug a generator in. So you need really, to do this safely, you need some sort of a transfer switch. Now, here's a 10 circuit unit from Reliance, and you can see it's got all individual controls on here, so individual breakers, so that you can selectively control which appliances are powered up by this. So let's let Chris talk about that for a second.
Yeah, and I guess, to kind of back this up a step, and highlight the troubles of providing alternate power to your home. So, you go out, you purchase a generator, you bring it home, and you're all excited. The power's out, and you're gonna plug everything into it, and you start to quickly realize when you go to plug in appliances that you can't plug in your furnace, you can't plug in the well pump, and there's a whole bunch of things in your house that you need that now you don't have access to, and that's where transfer switches come into play. So we manufacture a wide variety that cover every application, and these 10 circuits, we'll go anywhere from 1 all the way up to 10 circuits, and they're kind of individually selectable for circuits in your home so that you can provide generator power safely and efficiently to all the things that you can't plug in. There's watt meters right on it, so you know exactly what the load on the generator is, so you're not overloading it. And you can manage that load very easily by just flipping a toggle switch back and forth, and it isolates utility power from your backup generator, inverter, what have you. So that's the ideal solution, and really makes power outages not seem as inconvenient as they typically would be.
Very good. Doop, 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 doop.
Mike, you had asked, I think the last time around, that from Chris, what something like that might range. What is a transfer switch cost, low end to high end, what you might be looking at?
Yeah. So low end to high end, we have single circuit transfer switches. If you're just looking to power up a furnace, something to keep the heat on, that are around $100. And then up to the 10 circuit model there, that would be roughly $400 to $500, depending on the version and what accessories come with it, basically.
Very good. So you can get these in some locales that will allow you to do what we call a breaker lockout. And so in this case, what it will do is this is a thing, you have to pull the panel off the front of your service panel. And mount this on here. So basically what it does is it forces you to turn off your mains before you can turn on a double pole breaker for your generator power coming in. However, some of those locales will not let you do this simply because, and Chris had noted, if you accidentally remove the panel in the front or don't have this lined up properly, that can defeat this lockout. And you can accidentally backfeed. You want to talk about that for a second, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, really the kind of main concern there is that a lot of the linkages that are on the market do, like you said, attach to the front cover. So if there's anything not lined up properly or that cover's not there, you can end up in a situation where utility power, generator power are both trying to provide power to that panel at the same time. And then you've got a fight between the utility company and your generator. And in all of the instances I've ever seen, the generator loses 100% of the time, and it's catastrophic. In fact, I've seen generators start on fire because of it. So it's definitely make sure that any linkage kit that you're buying is UL listed, and it hopefully attaches to some other, via some other means than just the cover of the panel.
Right.
And Chris, you mentioned that your transfer switches automatically do this. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the all of our transfer switches are designed so that it's virtually impossible to defeat the isolation that's built in there. Each one of the little toggle switches that you can see in that top row are basically their own little transfer switch. Inside that switch, there's a little rocker motion that only allows either the utility power or the generator power to be providing energy to that circuit at one time. So it's foolproof.
Nice.
That's what we like. The more foolproof, the better. You can also get, and this company, one company's been making one of these for a number of years, but it's not really available nationally. Something's called GenerLink. I've had a number of my readers ask about this. It's a quick but pricey solution for this. This is kind of looks like a little bucket. You've got to have the power company come out. They will pull your meter, stick this in, and you can plug your generator in the bottom of this. And then whenever the house power goes off, it goes, or when your generator power goes on, it actually has a transfer switch inside. However, it is only available in some of the smaller companies, power companies out there. We do not, and you can't buy it unless your power company approves it. So don't even bother to try. But I had a reader say that one of the power companies in California is installing them for free if you buy a generator. Isn't that crazy? So basically what's happening is these guys want this so badly. Whoops, where are we going to get you on there? So Aaron, we were talking about this company a while back, and they just have not really gotten the national attention or the national ability yet. But if you've got the money and you're in a locale, or maybe someone will give you one. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. So let's, it's a great product. It works terrific, but as you mentioned, the power companies, there's tons and tons of power companies across the country, and they don't all talk, and they're not all approved. And the bigger the power companies, the harder it is going to get approval. So I think that's been the real, upward battle for GenerLink, is the fact that they're not approved everywhere, and some of the smaller co-ops have approved them, where it's been easier to get in front of the right decision makers. But good luck with some of the larger power companies.
Yep. Okay, never use a suicide cord. Suicide cord is aptly named. So this is a male-to-male connector that plugs into, the one side plugs into your generator, and the other side plugs into a home outlet or a dryer outlet or whatever. And the problem is, unless you do everything exactly right, you can backfeed power into the system. And this is one of the things that Chris was talking about earlier. If you accidentally cross-connect the two systems, either your generator is going to burn up, or if the power lines are down outside of your house, and you accidentally backfeed 240 volts into this is when it can be stepped up to 7,000 to 11,000 volts by your local transformer and energize those power lines, and you can kill a lineman with this. You don't want to be that guy that killed the power company's lineman. You really don't. You've got to be very, very careful with this.
Yeah, your neighbors won't stop talking about that one. And the other thing I'd like to just highlight on that one is if that suicide cord, as you said, aptly named, if you have that plugged into the generator and not plugged into an outlet on the other side, those prongs are live.
Right. Yeah. And Chris
Bad
and I have
situation.
Chris and I have talked about this a little bit. I'm a rock and roll sound engineer, and one of my jobs was to make systems work no matter what. I would have British sound systems that I would have to interface to American sound systems, and I would have guys coming in that didn't speak the language. I mean, this is crazy stuff. And I would occasionally have to do these kind of nutso systems that would interconnect things, and there were male-to-male connectors, and it was terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
But I was there watching it, and I was the guy doing it, and I was the guy responsible for this. And I tell my other engineering guys, nobody do this. Nobody touch this. This is like the most darn dangerous thing you could do, because we were doing it with like 200 amp, 400 amp, services, big stuff. So yeah, don't do that. Yeah, it is a really, really bad idea. Now, how big of a generator you need? I've gotten away with running a house off of as small as a contractor 5,000 watt generator. And there's not a whole lot of them available now at that small, but it's a 120, 240 volt split phase, which is what's coming into your house. A lot of people freak out when they see a 240 volt generator, but that's really what you need for the house. They can run most of your home appliances. And they're noisy because they're always running at full RPM, and they use a lot of fuel. Now, I've been doing a lot of experiments here with this lately. I think a better solution is like one of these 7 kilowatt dual fuel inverter generators. They're quieter than any contractor generator. They idle down during low power needs and will save fuel. And the propane/gasoline dual fuel models are great for home backup, because you can put, a 20-gallon tank on this out there, a portable one or one or two, and be able to run this thing for days and days. And many of these power outages last for a week or more now.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, you make a good point. These have become more affordable. They're definitely quieter. They definitely save fuel. And the fact that they're dual fuel, Duramax actually makes a tri-fuel, meaning you can use gas, you can use propane, or you can use natural gas. And so the homes that have natural gas, right, could actually pipe this in to where they have an unlimited amount of fuel.
Right.
And then if not, they can switch it to propane and use their, grill or barbecue tanks, as a backup or as a primary source of fuel. And as you mentioned before, they, not using gasoline doesn't, clog the carburetor. You don't have to worry about winterizing it and, water getting in the gas and the gas going bad, and then having, a problem generator that you can't get started. With these, they even come with remote start or auto start. So
right.
Like your car, you can just click it and it'll start.
Inverter technology on there. The sine wave's a lot cleaner. So you're getting a little bit cleaner power for sensitive electronics and so on and so forth.
Right. Contractor generators, even though you would think that they would generate sine waves, the problem is the voltage condition, or the voltage regulator on them are not the cleanest. And so they get all kinds of voltage spikes and carrying on with that. So inverter generators many times it's cleaner AC power than is coming in from the power company. I mean, we run sensitive stuff all the time off of these. Now, there's one of the issues here is, how much can I run? Well, you can run all your lighting, your home computers, Wi-Fi, 240 volt well pumps. You should be able to run microwave ovens and induction cooktops. Should be fine to operate. You got to keep your refrigerators and freezers running. But what you don't want to do, is don't want to run your oven. Hang on one second. If you have a central air conditioner or a heat pump, you'll probably need to add a soft start unit to reduce the inrush current. And so one of the things that I found, I have a lot of Honda generators. I have an EU 7000, an EU 3000, a pair of 2200s, and a EX 1000 from the old days. And the reason why I have a lot of Honda stuff, first off, I've got these years ago when Honda was the only way to do this, but I would do a lot of rock and roll shows. And so I could start one of these up. I could run a band. I could run a sound system, lighting system off of these these little systems now. But this Honda EU 7000 is that's a $5,000 generator. You can get this guy here for what, $2,000, Aaron? I think.
Yeah, that's
Something
right.
like
It's a little under $2,000.
little
And
under $2,000. Nearly as quiet. I don't have one to experiment with yet, but I'm planning on getting one here this spring and start to do some testing on it. So now, one of the things that you can do to really help with this is to be able to run your home air conditioner / heat pump on this. Now, Aaron and I now have got a good bit of experience installing these. He's probably got more experience now than I have. But they have a product called SoftStartHome from the same people that brought you SoftStart RV has been introduced. It works on most single and two-stage compressor units up to 6 tons. I've tested the inrush current reduction on 6 different units. And it also lowers the startup noise from the compressor. And they mount up like this. I mean, it's a pretty simple under an hour install by an air conditioner technician. And most of this is just routing the wires around and making them nice. So Aaron and I have done 6 of these so far. And I think it's simple enough to be done by an electrically savvy homeowner. If they're very careful with all of this. Some guys are good at this, some guys are not good at this. Please, if you're not comfortable around electricity, go hire a RV technician or an electrician or an air conditioner technician to do this for you, because we want you to be safe out there. So here we are down in Florida. Look, we're actually sweating in December. It was like 80 degrees down there. It was such a rough gig.
Yeah, it was. It was tough.
But here's some of the numbers that I found. You could see, and this is the interesting thing. So air conditioner number 1 we installed. The stock inrush current was 118 amps. And what that does is that will trip many of these generators. They just won't start. Once we add a SoftStartHome on it, it reduced it down to 18.67 amps inrush, which was just crazy. Running current was about 10.5 amps. And you can see on the air conditioner number 2, we started with 62.4 amps in rush, and it reduced it to 27.4 amps of inrush, and it was nominally running at 8.4. And in the number 3, it reduced 61 down to 21 amps. And on number 4, it reduced 109 amp inrush down to 28 amps. So number 1 and number 4, those things would never be startable off of a standard generator without adding SoftStartHome technology on them. And let me just show you a little bit how this works. I mean, I did a study on this a couple of years ago. So in the top picture here, the middle picture, the red one is a stock starting capacitor. So it's about 1/6 of a second. And in this case, I was measuring in an RV air conditioner. So I had a 52 amp inrush. And the SoftStart RV slightly lengthened out the running time, the startup time here, but it reduced it to 24 amps peak, see, less than this. So I've got guys that say, why don't we just put a hard start capacitor on it because it costs $10? Well, here's what a hard start capacitor does. It pulls the full 52 amps for like a second and a half. So this will not help a generator start this. All this is really good for is when you're on a long run and you've got a compressor and you're trying to just force this thing to make it go. So it's not really for generator usage at all. It just isn't. Okay, so let's see here. So Aaron, you want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you've seen with this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've installed probably about 15 of these. You're right. It's not hard to do, but you definitely have to be electrical savvy, or, to be honest, you should always be hiring, in my opinion, a licensed contractor, electrical, HVAC, solar, whoever it is that's installing these. But yeah, they're not a hard install. They take, once you've done it, 20, 30 minutes at most to install it, right? Now, once you've installed it, you also want to let the system run for 30 minutes and just make sure everything's running correctly, set the temperature correctly on your thermostat and all of that. But I mean, I've just seen amazing results, as you just showed of those five. That's what we're seeing. An average system runs somewhere between 60 and 110 amps starting from the factory. And the fact that we're able to reduce that, 70% or so, puts it down into, like you said, the high teens to the high 20s for amperage, which then allows a generator to really be able to start that. The other side of that is that, if you want to power your air conditioner or multiple air conditioners or heat pumps off your generators, you're probably going to have to invest in the Generac or the whole home, standby generators, which are very expensive. We talked about solar being expensive, right? 30 to 50,000. Well, these standby, 24 kW generators, they're, $15 to $20,000 installs. So, and then the maintenance that goes with that. So the goal of adding the SoftStart allows you to be able to use a much smaller portable generator, like we talked about, an 8 or 9,000 kW generator, and still be able to power your air conditioner or heat pump along with, your other main devices.
Right. And, and one of the other things too is the fact that, a heat pump is much more efficient than electric space heating. So a lot of people don't understand that, which I think is an important aspect of this. If you have, with the SoftStart product, it allows you, the SoftStartHome product allows you to run your air conditioner heat pump during the winter. And this can use, they say, and I believe it because I've experimented with this now, like 50% or less of the power needed for standard resistance heating, because it's actually moving heat. It's pumping heat around. It's just not making heat. So that'll allow you with a smaller generator, and I've done experiments now with a 7 kilowatt generator can run a central air conditioner or a heat pump. And so what that means is if you take half the power, that means you can run for twice as long on the same amount of gasoline or propane. So what I use the mindset, I'm not a prepper that wants to go out in the woods by myself, but I don't want to be a problem when first responders come around. I want to be the solution with my own power. I don't want to be the guy that's begging somebody to do something for me. I'm just way too, I want to do stuff myself as best I can. And so this is why I think that the SoftStartHome product is just really great for this sort of thing. So,
Well, yeah, I'd like to, add to that, Mike. I think, the one thing is that, our power goes out and you think, oh man, I need a heat source. So what do? You're going to go get a few space heaters and you're going to try and plug those in. Those take a lot of energy and, they're just going to eat through the gas and may even trip the generator. So the fact that you're able to either fire up your furnace or you're able to get your heat pump going, using the SoftStart off your generator is going to be a huge energy savings to that generator, and it's going to keep you a lot warmer throughout the house and safer.
right. And this isn't even just a comfort thing. This is a life and death thing, because we saw things like last year in Texas where they had a lot of the pipes and everything froze and electricity went down for sections, and people were in basically freezing conditions for a week or more. And then what happened is, even though you bundled up yourself and maybe survived, it froze all the pipes in your house. And then there was this huge glut of when power came back on and when it started thawing stuff out. Now you had burst pipes, running water everywhere, and I had plumbers saying they can't keep up with all of the burst pipes in Texas from water pipes in the houses. I went, oh brother, just what do you do?
Well, and
So
I would say, even on that note, what you don't even think about after that is, so if all the pipes burst in Texas, right, which a lot of them did, and then there's a run on copper and PVC, and then that becomes, an issue across the country, and then the
right,
price goes up. And so it's just one thing after another, where if we can prevent these things from happening for
right,
everybody individually, each home is taking care of itself, right?
right.
It's going to be better for everyone.
Right. And it truly is. And yeah, we're all interconnected in a lot of different ways. No little city is an island. Everything comes from somebody else. And when you have a huge amount of resources have to go to one area, it sucks resources from other areas. And then nobody happy. It's just how that works. Okay, now it looks like we've got a couple people says they're back with us now. Okay, that's our presentation. We'll be adding more EBPC members, discussing solar panels, propane usage, other power technologies here in the future. So if you guys are on, I'll put us back up and we'll try to answer some questions.
And welcome back,
Okay.
folks. We missed you.
Welcome back, folks. And Terry says, whoops, there he is. He says, I'm back with you. Hey, Terry, do you have any questions for the astute panel here? Are you still online? Da, 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 da.
Terry gets an award for tonight. He has the best hat. I love that.
He has
Terry,
got the
and
best
you.
hat and beard, out there. I really think. I don't see him coming back on. So Tony says, hello, yes, can see and hear you now, but I don't have anybody else back on. I don't know if we've lost this or not. We might have to repeat this next week just because we've had so many crashy, crunchy things. But, this is how this
It's a
works.
warm up.
This is the warm up. So you guys have anything else? We'll just chat for a minute or two, and if we don't get any back on, we'll sign off. Then we'll go see what happened, and then we'll reschedule and maybe do a repeat, an encore performance, I think they call it. Bravo.
All right, excellent. Yeah, I mean, I want to just say, people want to know, cost and things of that sort. Chris has told us a little bit about his. We mentioned the Duramax. I've kind of already looked at, what would the cost be to buy the generator, the transfer switch, the soft start, and get a licensed technician to install it. You can probably do it somewhere between, $3,500 and $5,000 would be my guess, depending on the size of the generator and if you went and got the inverter and everything like that. So, much more affordable than the standby whole home generators, the Generacs of the world and things of that sort. And, much more affordable than, of course, solar and batteries. So.
Right. And none of these things are just a single solution for everything. Solar would be great to add on if you could afford it and when you can afford it. Solar panels are getting cheaper, inverters are getting cheaper, and that sort of thing. And so that can be great. For instance, in my own house here, I've got natural gas coming in here. So I have a natural gas water heater, natural gas stove top, that kind of thing, although we like electric convection oven. Natural gas can be part of this. The propane is really, really important because it's so portable, and you can store a couple of units. The biggest ones I think you can move around are the 20-gallon ones, or like the 100-pound jobbers,
right?
Or so. Much bigger than that, you got to bury them, and then you've got to expect a a delivery truck to come out in the middle of a power outage, I'm not sure you can expect the delivery truck to come deliver propane to you in the middle of the outage. But, this is why augmenting this and the dual fuel stuff seems really, really perfect for this. So if you had a few jerry cans of gasoline and a few propane tanks. Okay, so here we go. Terry says, there are adapters for Jenny backfeeding a house that plugs into the electric meter. Any comments? Yes, we actually had a discussion on that, which you can go back and look at later. But that's the GenerLink products he's asking about. The one that I saw was about $1,200, but the problem is it's not really available in most states or for most power companies. It's kind of it would be an interesting thing if it was available, but it is not available yet at this point. But it could be installed by the power company guy in about 10 minutes, if so. Any other questions here? Terry's guy, let's see, he just says, Anybody else? Okay, so Patrick says, hello from Lincoln. Nebraska? Is that it? Any questions from anybody out here? I know we lost a lot of the guys because this whole system crashed. But like I said, I think we will reschedule a repeat of this since we know what we're doing, or we think we know what we're doing.
I think, an interesting fact too, Mike, is that you talked about solar and batteries, and obviously that's a great option. But actually, I've been talking to, solar, and there's something like only 30% of homes right now are, have solar, could be have solar as an option, because you have trees, you have, the way that the house roof line is and all the different things. There's HOAs, that don't allow it. All these different things are going on, right? So right now, not every house is a candidate for solar.
Right. And one of the things that I've found that I think an important part of any of this energy usage is an important part of this is education. I had a local solar panel builder was going to be adding, I don't know, a few dozen acres of this outside of the city limits out to where I used to live. And there was nothing out there. They had such a pushback from the neighbors in the area because these guys said that the solar panels are causing the earth to heat up. And that's what's causing climate change. Too many solar panels were doing this. And so I tried to explain to these guys, I had one other guy said, well, let's talk about physics. And they said, this isn't physics. This is electricity. And I'm going, guys, electricity is described by physics. It just is. But it was too late for me to do anything about it. It just really was. And now we're seeing more and more people coming online with electric vehicle and how do we charge these things? One of the things that I've looked at is adding, if I put enough solar panels, a couple of thousand watts of solar panels on my garage, I could set this up and plug in an EV or a plug-in EV. So that it would gain probably 25 to 30 miles a day just sitting there. My wife drives maybe 100 miles a week. So if she had an EV that was plugged into those solar panels, guess what? She would essentially be zero costs for gasoline at that point. But now, one of the things that I am working on also, and Chris and I have talked a little bit about this, Ford loaned me an F-150 Power Boost pickup truck last year. That thing has a built-in 7.2 kilowatt inverter generator that makes 120, 240 split phase. I think that it needs a special ground lift adapter to be able to plug into your house, but this would be a really, really good option if you wanted to have a pickup truck that could also power your house. I'm asking for another one to borrow one for a long-term experiment, so I could try to power some houses with this. It's rated to, I think, to idle for like 87 hours continuous. I mean, and
Wow.
so you can basically think of this as a 7 kilowatt generator with a 36 gallon fuel tank and a 3.6 liter, twin turbo engine on it. But it worked beautifully for this sort of thing. I am not really happy with the idea of using like a Ford Lightning, which is a all electric unit, because if you can plug that into your house and power your house from it, but one of the problems with that is when you run out of power, you don't have any way to charge your pickup truck and you can't leave. And the requirements for this bidirectional charging are really, really expensive. I had one guy said it cost him $18,000 to put in the extra panel and do the hookups and everything just to get his Lightning to do bidirectional charging. That is,
Wow.
that the house would charge the truck would power the house. I thought for $18,000, I could put in a heck of a backup system.
No, exactly. I mean, again, the big standby generator companies, Generac and all those others, right? They have the big 24 kW systems, but you're going
Right.
to pay $18,000 for
Right.
that system.
You got to put
and
a
then
pad, you got to run a line, you got to do
quarterly or maintenance on it, and there's a lot
Right.
that goes to it. So.
Now, if you've got the money, it's great. It really is. I know some people have done that they've got solar panels and such, I know people that have spent $100,000. I personally know people that have spent $100,000 to do this, so that no matter what happens, they're going to have plenty of power. But, how many people have an extra $100,000 laying around for that one moment when you really need this thing? Whereas if we can come up with an under $5,000 solution, and remember, that generator can be used for a variety of other things too. If you want to run a rock concert out in a field, you just put it in the back of your pickup truck and go. Okay.
Well, that
so
is what's cool about it, right? Portable is, I think, is
portable.
pretty cool.
So one of the things that you could do is you could take stuff like that out to your own little camping spot. If you've got like 3 or 4 of your guys that want to go camp and boondock out in the woods. This is what I really liked about the F-150 Power Boost. I actually put a Y connector on it, was able to power 230 amp RVs at the same time. I just thought it was just so many things you can do with this. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, we're gonna wrap it up here. So I'd like to thank Aaron and Chris for spending your time here. You can find a lot of my articles on my new Substack, RVelectricity.substack.com, and I will be including all of these new these new backup systems that we're doing. All right, very good. Thanks, everybody, and good night.
See you
Good
guys.
night, all. Thank you.